All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show, third hour of the program, and it is action-packed, so keep it locked here until noon. We're going to begin on the movie and TV front. Quebec's film industry is on high alert after Donald Trump threatened to impose a 100% tariff on foreign films. Now, earlier this year, Trump named Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and Jon Voight as special ambassadors to Hollywood. Voight has taken a big role on tackling that, and he unveiled this video earlier this week.
My fellow Americans and my peers of Hollywood, I recently met with our President Donald J. Trump, who loves the entertainment business, wants to see Hollywood thrive and make films bigger and greater than ever before, as he says, and see productions come back to American Hollywood. The Hollywood that I fell in love with when I was a child and was honored to contribute to during my career. Our industry recently has suffered greatly over these past few years, and many Americans have lost jobs to productions that have gone overseas.
So if those jobs go back to America, well, they're going to leave places like Vancouver, Toronto, and yes, Montreal. Economic Minister Christine Frichette held an emergency meeting with industry leaders at Mel's Studios, calling it a wake-up call, vowing to protect the sector, which employs over 60,000 people in Quebec. Let's head over now to Chris Bumbray, editor-in-chief of JoeBlow.com and a film critic with CTV News Channel. Chris, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks, Elias.
So what's your take on this? It seemed like something was afoot since the start of the year, and there's a lot of American support right now in Hollywood to bring back production. How do you view it?
Well, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I spend a lot of time in Los Angeles for work, and pretty much every time I get into an Uber there, I'm being driven around by somebody who used to work in the film industry, and they kind of complain about the state of things.
Wow.
And it's because there are so many runaway productions. Everybody's completely left town, right? And it's economically devastated Los Angeles. A good example is recently Ben Affleck's been making the rounds for The Accountant 2. And they shot the entire movie in California. But because they shot it in California, the movie probably cost about 30 to 40% more than it should have, right? And when you have a budget that goes that high, it makes it really tough to recoup, the proceeds and ticket sales, especially with audiences not going to movies as much as they used to. So in certain parts of the United States, particularly in Los Angeles, this has become a massive crisis. And I can't tell you how many friends that I have out there that are actors or technicians or people that work behind the scenes that have been without work since the end of the strikes.
Now, has the work left the United States, or has it just gone to other parts of the U.S.? This is the kind of thing I'm trying to wrap my head around, because it is very different if that stuff has gone from Los Angeles to Toronto or Montreal, or if it's gone Los Angeles to Alabama or Los Angeles to Georgia. Do you have an idea there?
No, it's largely left the United States. So there was a poll the other day of the 5 most popular places to shoot movies nowadays, and not one of the top 5 was in the United States. Number 1 was Vancouver. Number 2 was Britain. Number 3 was Toronto. And it's just, and that is what's happening, right? Because these movies are going because they get to take advantage of the weak Canadian dollar. They get massive tax credits. So, if you think about something like Karate Kid Legacy, which comes out this summer, right? It's all set in New York, all shot in Montreal.
Wow.
And the movie, they were able to, because of the Canadian dollar, they were able to shoot, a movie that otherwise would have cost maybe $100 million for like $50 million, right? But the thing about this plan that Voight has kind of been proposing, and it's a little bit clearer on what potential tariffs would look like, is that if a movie is shot internationally that could be shot in the United States, they may have to pay 120% tariff based on whatever allotment they're getting or tax credit they're getting. So for a place like Montreal, or particularly for Vancouver and Toronto, this would devastate the industry, because Vancouver and Toronto have been filling in for American cities, constantly. So you could imagine what it would do to the film industry there, and even in Montreal, because a lot of things shoot at Mel's, because we have those massive sound stages, right?
Yeah.
300, for instance, was shot there. You'd have movies that they would be allowed to shoot here, but they'd have to pay massive premiums on them. So it would really, really, really badly damaged the film industry here. Absolutely.
Chris, listen, I get the gut reaction I hear from a lot of listeners. You bring up Donald Trump, there's an automatic recoiling, right? But I want to show just how grave this situation is, maybe for us north of the border, because this is getting bipartisan support. Governor Gavin Newsom, Democratic governor of California, here's his tweet. California built the film industry, and we're ready to bring even more jobs home. We've proven what strong state incentives can do. Now it's time for a real federal partnership to make America film again. Again, that's from Gavin Newsom, not Donald Trump. And then he adds, POTUS, let's get it done. This is serious. This is Democrat and Republican in California. They're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, it's Americans taking care of Americans, I think, in this case, and I think one of the big problems that we have here is that we've never really built a film industry of our own. I mean, in Quebec we have, give full credit to French-Canadian filmmakers. They really have built an industry that sustains itself and that's popular amongst its viewers, right? There is a Quebec star system. The rest of Canada has not done this, though. I mean, can you think of the last big Canadian movie that came out that really made much of an impact or that people really talk about? It's been going on like this for decades. We've never built any kind of film industry for ourselves, and maybe if we had, this wouldn't be such a nightmare scenario, because what else really shoots in Canada besides American films? Sure, you have Canadian TV shows, but the budgets are way, way lower, and I don't know if anybody could really support themselves and make a living only working on Canadian productions.
We're with Chris Bumbray, editor-in-chief of JoeBlow.com. And Chris, the truth of the matter is, we've covered this a couple of times with some different guests, that there's already been a slowdown. Like, I've been hearing it from the Montreal side of things, and I've got friends in Toronto, and they say, boy, there's been some really tough times over the last little while. So it already seems like production was slowing down, and I don't know if you've got a thought or two on why that we have already started to see some warning signs on that front.
Well, I think that movies just aren't shooting as much as they used to, right? Production has kind of come to a standstill on a lot of films, and a lot of movies are being shot like, totally overseas in like small places like Budapest, where you can get amazing returns for your dollar. So, one that kind of sticks out for me is The Brutalist, right, which was up for a bunch of Oscars this year. The movie cost $6 million, right? It looks like it cost $60 million. Why did it cost so little? It's because they shot in Budapest, and the value of the dollar there was so small. They were able to get so much bang for their buck. So in some ways, you almost can't blame the studios for doing that, because a movie like that would have never, ever turned a profit had it been shot in North America. So I don't know. There seems to be just a huge problem with kind of the film industry in general, and it's really something that's obvious when you go to Los Angeles, because it's been economically devastated. It was, as they said, it was a company town, right? And now nothing's shooting there anymore. People are without work. And it's not helped by the fact that there's AI coming along that's taking the jobs of extras. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening behind the scenes with the CGI companies. I mean, in Montreal, we had a serious issue with that, with MPC and Technicolor shutting down and so many people losing work. So, it's an existential threat, I think, and I don't know what the fix is for it. I really don't. As you said, it's getting bipartisan support, so I don't know.
Yeah. And is it easier said than done? Having said all that, and a lot of things that Donald Trump says, well, it sounds great, but to actually get it done is hard. Is this easier said than done? Can you actually just say, poof, tariff now, and production actually comes back? Or are there some other things that you just simply can't change, tariff or not?
My personal thought is that it's going to be nearly impossible for him to implement some kind of plan like this, because the industry is simply not going to fight for it. It's not going to stand for it. His ambassadors, for instance, one of them is Mel Gibson, right? Mel Gibson is shooting Passion of the Christ 2 this year, okay? And he's going to shoot it obviously in Israel, or he's going to shoot it in where it's supposed to be shot. He's not going to shoot it in North America. So people are going to be getting exceptions for all kinds of reasons, and people are going to be fighting this, tooth and nail, because certain types of movies aren't going to get made anymore. And the streamers, too, are going to be impacted by this. So I don't think it's like he can wave his magic wand and make it happen. But that said, something really does need to be done for California, because California has suffered an insane amount, and the industry has been completely decimated there, and there is no film industry without Hollywood. There simply isn't.
You touched on this, and I think we should spend another moment here. Does Canada need to get its act in order to start telling Canadian stories?
They need to start telling Canadian stories, but they also need to start telling stories that are actually going to entertain people. That's been the problem with Canada. A lot of things are financed by Telefilm Canada, where you have to basically fulfill these quotas, right? And you have to tell specific Canadian stories, right? One of the biggest issues that I have, and a perfect example for this, is there's a movie coming out on Friday, which is barely getting released, and it's called Sharp Corners, right? It's a movie that was made in Canada, yet the two leads are both American. Okay, what they did was they have to get their Canadian points, so they got Canadian directors, Canadian technicians, and it's all shot in Canada, but it doesn't take place in Canada because whenever they shoot a movie in Canada, they're afraid of people not accepting in the United States, so they set it in this kind of nowhere land country where they never say what city they're in.
Yeah.
People are covering up the bills, and it's set in this place that's not the U.S. and not Canada, and it's such a it's such a cliche.
It's like Middle Earth. It's like Middle Earth, but it looks like Oakville.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that they've been doing constantly. And
Yeah.
I talked to Jay Baruchel about this, who's a big, Canadian actor and an advocate for Canadian films. And he said the same thing. He said the industry has just completely done it to ourselves. And we have this inferiority complex, it seems, to American movies. And it's something that we really need to get over because it seems like we're the only country in the world, besides Quebec, of course, that's the exception, that doesn't have their own film industry.
Chris, excellent insight on everything from what's happening in the back of the Ubers there to what's happening on the film stages here in this city. Thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure, Elias. Thank you.
Chris Bumbray, editor-in-chief of JoBlo.com and film critic with CTV News Channel.